Okay, we're going to be making some bread today. We're going to be making some oatmeal cranberry bread. And you see this nice KitchenAid mixer I inherited, and it has dough hook and everything, and this costs like, I don't know, $250, $300. So go right out and buy one, or, ta-da, go to your local junk shop and buy. I would expect that you wouldn't spend over $5 for a bread machine. Now, we're going to talk about the bread machine, what's good about it, what's bad about it. And to do that, we're going to switch over here. Okay, here's the bread machine container. Now you notice right off, bread is usually cooked this way. It's cooked on its side. Bread machines cook it on the top. And that causes a lot of problems because what happens is the bread on the top here is nice and light, and as you get down further in the loaf, down here, the bread is super compact and just not that nice. So the solution to this is we're going to use the bread machine on the dough cycle, and then we're going to take it out, put it in a pan, and cook it in the oven. So there we get all the benefits of having a mixing machine for $5, and it's going to go through the first rise and heat it and everything. Then we're just going to take it out, put it in a pan, let it do its second rise, and then we're going to cook it. So what could be better? So there's a good reason to buy a bread machine, because if you use a dough cycle, it's mimicking a $300 or $200 or $50 something mixer with a bread hook. So there we go, we're going to use this. Okay, and the bread machine is important, especially if you're going to let it go on the timer. You put the liquids in first. So this particular recipe that we got off of the King Arthur site has 3 cups unbleached flour, 1 cup rolled oats, 2 tablespoons butter or margarine, 1.5 teaspoons salt, 3 teaspoons brown sugar or honey, 2 tablespoons instant yeast, 1.5 cups of lukewarm milk. Okay, so we're going to use powdered milk. And we're just going to guesstimate, because I found it really doesn't matter that much. So, instant milk. We're going to make that up. Okay, we've got the 1.25 cups lukewarm milk. Then we're going to put in the dry ingredients on top of that. We're also adding an egg, which isn't in the recipe, but I say you can't go wrong adding an egg. We're using real eggs as opposed to powdered eggs for this recipe, because we're cooking it right off. If we were going to delay it on the timer, we would use powdered eggs. Okay, we're going to do 3 cups unbleached flour. 1/2 cup, so we're going to do 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Now we're going to add the appropriate amount of powdered milk. This will be different depending on whose powdered milk you're using. There we go, there's powdered milk in there. Now, we're going to put in 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm using this kosher salt again, 1.5 teaspoons. 1, salt. We're going to be 1 cup of old-fashioned oats. So 1 cup is going to be 2 of these. There's a cup. Now please note that dry measurement, 1/2 a cup, liquid measurement, dry liquid. Okay, now we're going to put in sugar. I bought some natural sugar. Now what's natural sugar? All sugar's natural. But I suppose you could make it, synthesize it chemically if you wanted to. It'd be too expensive to buy. This just means this has been processed less than pure white sugar. But it's cane sugar. Cane sugar is cane sugar. Okay, we want 3 teaspoons. But 1. Sorry, 3 tablespoons. 2, 3. Okay, we've got that. Now we're going to add the amount of yeast, and it's calling for 2 teaspoons. It's important that when you do the yeast, again, especially if the machine is going to be sitting, that you have the salt in a different location than the yeast. Okay? 2 teaspoons. There's 2 teaspoons. This is bread machine yeast, but in our application, any kind of yeast would work. They have some super active yeast, and it really is super active. It rises really quick. Okay. Now we're going to add 3/4 cup of, instead of doing raisins for this, since we're making cranberry bread, we're not adding cranberries, we're adding cran raisins. Dried cranberries. Let's see if we can come up with 3/4 of a cup. Oops, some escaped over the side. There's a 1/2 cup. Oh, a little bit less. I have a few more in the cupboard I can add. There we are with some more. You know, I look at stores, and whenever I find some of these dry fruit things on sale, I just buy them. Make granola with them, all kinds of things. Especially the off-brands. Ocean Spray, you're not going to see marked down to nothing too often, but I go through stores like Big Lots and different things, and even Martin here in Maine. And sometimes they'll have bags of things that are, you know, used to cost like $3 or $4, and there'll be 1 or 2, so keep that in mind. I keep these in a bag with my raisins in the refrigerator. And our house has a lot of moisture, so I keep the sugar wrapped up too, as well. Now here's the difficult part. We gotta look back and check and make sure we got all the ingredients. We put in the 3 cups of flour, we put in the rolled oats. We don't have the oil or butter. I'm gonna use canola oil on this. Usually I use olive oil, but I'm out of olive oil. So I'm gonna do this. It calls for 2 tablespoons. So in it goes. Okay, let's double check again. I've got it on my computer over here, so I've got to hit it each time. Okay, the salt, we get the sugar, we get the instant yeast, we got the water, milk, lukewarm water, because we added the powder, we got the 3/4 cup of raisins. Okay, now we're going to transfer it over to the bread machine. I find too with the bread machine, something that can go wrong is that flour will be in these little corners. So I monitor it as it's mixing, and I'm going to scrape around, especially in the bottom, and make sure all the flour gets mixed up. Now that's especially important if you're cooking it completely in the bread machine, because you don't want lumps of flour, you know, not mixed in and attached. So now we're going to plug in our bread machine and put this in. The nice thing about this is, of course, it's going to heat it up. It's going to be, I believe, an hour and 40 minutes till we get the dough. There, locks into place, close it up. And then we select the dough cycle. Dough, an hour 40 minutes, start. There we go. Let's take a closer look. A little on the dark side in there, but you can see right now even that we're sticking to the sides here. Trying to get all that in. When you get done, you should have a nice ball. And it should, oh good, there's no flour on the corners like I said. So this is going to be great from the get-go. Sometimes you may find if the dough is too sticky, or if the dough won't form into a ball, that you might have to add a little more flour or water. So rather than just throw it in the machine and let it go, I like to check it. So I think we're okay. And now we go off for an hour and 39 minutes. We'll be back. Okay, here we are. We got 2 minutes to go to bread time. You can see it's risen quite a bit. Of course, when it hits a timer, the paddle's going to go and basically punch down or degas the dough. What I'm going to do is divide it in half, freeze half, and cook half. That way, some other day we'll be able to just pull it out of the freezer, let it warm up, do its second rise, and have fresh bread that day, rather than have cooked it and frozen it. You can see it punching it down now. Look at it. Degassing it. And it's done. Whistle, whistle. A little bit of flour here on my little work surface. There we go. You can see that some still sticks to this. That's no big deal. It's kind of a non-stick coating, but clean that up easy. We're just going to get a knife. Open the right drawer. And I guess we're going to cut it approximately in half. There we go. So this is the one we're going to put in. This is the one we're going to freeze for later. Slider freezing bag. Always write on there the date and what it is, so you don't remember. So you don't forget when you do. You can figure it out when you do forget. See, I can't even say the right thing. Okay, there we go. Now, as always, when you do this, try to get all the air out of the bag that you can. There. That's going to go in the freezer for another day. Okay, now, as I've shown you as usual, We're gonna get our double no stick pan. Not no stick, we're gonna make it no stick. Reynolds paper pan liner. We don't need really much of this. Parchment paper on one side, aluminum foil on the other. Smash that down there. And oh, there we go. Now, we probably are looking at a 2-hour more rise when it doubles in volume, and then we'll cook it at 350. Somewhere probably about 45 minutes, somewhere between a half an hour and an hour. We're going to use a thermometer to determine when the bread is done. We're going to show you that. Okay, now you can see our bread's about doubled in size, and I'm going to do a trick because it isn't completely doubled. Instead of preheating the oven, I've got to put it in the cold oven and turn it on to 350. It's going to be kind of like a heat and rise pizza that you buy. So that initial warmth in the oven is going to cause it to rise quite a bit. Then it's going to get to a certain temperature, which I could look up, I don't know, right off the hand. I think it's 140, which will actually kill the yeast inside the bread once the center of the bread gets that hot. So it's going to get a chance to rise some more while it's in the oven. So here we are at the oven. We're going to hit bake, start. I turn the light on so we can check the progress. So there we are. We had a cold oven that says 100, but obviously it isn't 100 degrees in my house. So we're going to put that in. And it's going to rise some before it hits its highest temperature. And then it's going to cook. Okay, the oven hit 350. You can see, oops, if I don't hit the camera, you can see that the bread has risen quite a bit more. There you go. I get the light out of it. There we go. So now we're going to set the timer. We're going to cook our bread. Okay, we're a little later. We're going to try my electronic thermometer. Some controversy about this, but 190 to 205 is in the centers when bread is done. I find just tapping it, not to be a reliable means, at least for me to tell. So I'm going to stick this in the bread and see where it comes out. 196, 197, 198. So the bread is definitely done. Turn it off.
Get out of here. I gotta find any eggs in here, guys?
Actually, now we have a temperature of
What?
203 now. Let me show you how easily this comes out. Again, no pan to clean. And no bread sticking to the parchment paper. So there we have cranberry raisin bread from scratch, and it should really taste wonderful. You could put raisins and cinnamon in it, cinnamon sugar instead, and make it into raisin bread or any other kind of bread. This is Mike Kennedy, M005 Kennedy, saying Cook something from scratch and eat it.